You were talking about how they tell an instrumentalist to think about singing. Well, in the early days, an instrument was meant to be an extension of the voice, wasn't it?
I think so.
Australian Angel. Although he will reach the age of 80 in 2025, violin legend Itzhak Perlman still makes the world admire not only for his musical talent, but also for his determination to overcome polio since childhood. But is his current life as brilliant as the halo he once had? What awaits this talented artist in his twilight years? Let's explore the emotional story behind the stage lights. Childhood poverty and paralysis. Musical history quietly took shape in a modest Tel Aviv home during the tumultuous years after World War II. Itzhak Perlman was born on August 31, 1945, in British-ruled Palestine. His parents' decision to leave Poland before the Holocaust saved their lives and set the stage for one of classical music's greatest careers. The Perlmans became Israeli citizens when the State of Israel was established in 1948. Life wasn't easy during these early years. When I was growing up in Tel Aviv, my parents were poor, and to get enough food was a constant challenge, Perlman recalled. The family depended on care packages from relatives abroad that contained precious items like homemade chicken soup and canned fruit cocktail. Young Itzhak's musical path started remarkably early. Classical music on the radio captivated him at just 3 years old. He sang along and mimicked various instruments, showing a natural gift for the violin. This wasn't just a child's play, it showed the first signs of his exceptional talent. "I wanted to grow up to be a violinist," he told his mother after listening to an hour-long violin recital on Israeli radio. His parents bought him a toy violin, but the young prodigy quickly grew frustrated with its inadequate sound. His musical instincts were already well developed, even at such a young age. Life changed dramatically for Perlman in 1949. "I had polio in 1949 when I was 4 years old," Perlman explains. "The first polio vaccine wasn't issued until 1955, so I missed it by a few years. The disease struck suddenly. One morning, I got up and tried to stand, and I couldn't. I knew there was something wrong." His hospital memories remain clear. "I only remember lying down and looking out the window at the sun. It was always the same view day in and day out. Painful procedures, including a spinal tap, made his stay more difficult. Several weeks later, he returned home to a very different life." Before polio, Perlman enjoyed typical childhood activities, playing with toys, riding scooters, running freely. Everything changed after the illness. "What changed is that I could no longer walk," he states simply. He learned to adapt with leg braces, special shoes, and crutches. Perlman's response to this life-changing event was remarkable. "I remember reacting to my illness without any bitterness, just as a life-changing event." His young age might explain this acceptance. "I do think it's easier to get used to change when you are young because you haven't had a lot of experiences." His parents struggled to accept their son's condition. People frequently visited their home with various cures that never worked. These included special diets with raw egg yolks each morning and religious rituals involving burning parchment with holy words and inhaling the smoke. Someone even suggested mercury as treatment, leading to daily doses from a green jar full of mercury. Music remained constant through these misguided healing attempts. "Thanks to my parents' encouragement, I continued with music, despite the fact I had polio," he notes. "You don't play the violin with your feet, you play with your hands, and my hands were just fine." Russian-trained teacher Rivka Goldgart began teaching Perlman at the Shulamit Conservatory when he turned 5. He practiced 3 hours every day, which puzzled his friends. "My friends always thought I was a little weird, not because I couldn't walk properly, but because I practiced the violin 2 or 3 hours a day." His dedication paid off quickly. Perlman gave his first public recital at age 10, starting what would become one of classical music's most celebrated careers a journey that put musical excellence ahead of physical limitations. A life-changing moment altered Perlman's musical path in 1958. Ed Sullivan, the TV mogul, went to Israel on a talent hunt and found the young violinist. This chance would soon put him in the global spotlight. How did Itzhak Perlman become a musical legend despite incredible odds? The rise to fame despite the odds. Perlman debuted on The Ed Sullivan Show at the age of 13, showing his incredible talent to American audiences. Sullivan saw him as the perfect choice. "I was chubby, I was on crutches, I was young, I was cute, and I played pretty well. So it was a great little thing, a combination of an interesting human story plus talent," Perlman recalled. His performance captivated viewers across the United States. Classical music host Mindy Ratner watched the broadcast and said, "I remember him swinging out onto the stage on crutches and then playing so amazingly that I had to catch my breath." The effect was immediate. The young Israeli violinist demonstrated extraordinary skills despite his physical limitations. Perlman played such pieces as Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee, Wieniawski's Polonaise Brillante, and Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto on Sullivan's Show. He returned to The Ed Sullivan Show twice in 1964 and even shared the stage with the Rolling Stones. The Zionist Organization of America sponsored Perlman's solo tours across the United States and Canada. He quickly became a leading virtuoso. He debuted at Carnegie Hall in 1963 at the age of 18, playing Wieniawski's Violin Concerto No. 1. The following year, Perlman won the prestigious Leventritt competition in 1964, launching his worldwide career. He embarked on his first major concert tour from 1964 to 1966, performing in 30 cities across the United States. After training at the Tel Aviv Academy of Music and receiving a scholarship from the United States Israel Cultural Foundation, Perlman went to New York's prestigious Juilliard School. Two legendary teachers shaped his musical development there. Perlman began studying with violinist Ivan Galamian at Juilliard. Galamian was a straightforward teacher, like "if you do what I tell you, you'll do it," Perlman said. He had a system for all his students. Even though there were students with different levels of talent, you knew you could play the instrument well after studying with him. Dorothy DeLay, Galamian's former Juilliard assistant, also taught Perlman. The different styles of these teachers helped him develop. Galamian brought a rigorous Russian training program, while DeLay took a different approach. She believed in involving her students in the musical decision-making process. "I worked harder for him than she did because I knew she wouldn't hurt me," Perlman notes of their teaching styles. Both teachers imparted important skills to him. Galamian taught him what makes a sound, what's at the core of a sound, while DeLay taught me how to think musically. In recent years, Perlman's career has taken off around the world. His success in the United States led to European tours in the late 1960s. He debuted with the London Symphony Orchestra in 1968 and the Berlin Philharmonic in 1972. His virtuosity and pure joy in making music captured the hearts of audiences everywhere. These early years, from television fame to his extensive training at Juilliard, transformed Perlman into a gifted musician. His development showed that art could overcome challenges, setting the stage for decades of musical excellence. Most concertgoers recognize Itzhak Perlman by his motorized scooter as he moves across the stage, a sight as familiar as his exceptional violin playing. His connection with mobility aids goes back to his childhood battle with polio, which shaped his life in many ways. How has Itzhak Perlman lived with a disability his entire life? How has the way people with disabilities are viewed and supported changed since then? Living with disability, then and now. The story begins with the polio virus that struck him at age 4. "I'm a polio survivor. That's been part of my life as well," Perlman says simply. The disease left him unable to walk without help, so he needed mobility devices. His journey started in 1949 with leg braces and crutches. These tools stayed with him through childhood, teenage years, and his early career. He made his Carnegie Hall debut in 1963 while seated, a position he needed because he couldn't stand. This seated stance, which critics once questioned, became his trademark way to perform. During his 20s and 30s, crutches became his main way to move around. His rising fame brought challenges with accessibility. "I used to walk, and everybody used to follow me and make sure that I didn't fall down, which did happen a couple of times," he remembers. The constant use of crutches became harder as he grew older. He slowly moved toward motorized mobility. "I used to go to the airport in a wheelchair. Right now, I'm in a scooter because I don't walk quite as I used to," he says. The switch to a motorized scooter wasn't just a choice. He needed it to save energy and stay independent. These days, approaching 80, Perlman uses his scooter for everything. "I always take my scooter. I take my scooter everywhere," he says. He now enters on a scooter to go on stage instead of using crutches like he did years ago. This change to different mobility devices brought new challenges, especially while traveling. Perlman calls air travel with his scooter the most horrible experience. Airlines often resist letting him keep his scooter until he boards the plane. "In other words, if I land in a place and I say to them, 'I'd like my scooter at the door of the plane now and then, and especially when you go to Europe or the Far East,' they say, 'Oh no, we'll have a chair for you and you'll get your scooter at the baggage claim,'" he shares with frustration. Despite decades of advocacy and worldwide recognition, Perlman still faces accessibility hurdles. Concert venues with varied levels or steps. Hotels with poorly designed, accessible bathrooms. Restaurants require kitchen entrances for access. Transportation systems are unprepared for mobility devices. I find that the interpretation of access is interesting. People think it means, "Can you get into a building? You should be able to get into a building with dignity along with everybody else," Perlman notes. He developed ways to adapt. He carries a portable shower chair while traveling, asks for hotel bathroom photos beforehand, and works with architects on venue designs. His work with Lincoln Center shows this approach well. When they built the new David Geffen Hall at Lincoln Center in New York, I sat down with the architects, and we discussed all the things that would improve access. Perlman always kept his artistic identity separate from his physical challenges. "I always wanted to separate the two things because I felt that the music had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I had experienced polio," he explains. Today, he accepts both parts of who he is, knowing his visibility as a disabled artist matters beyond music. The emotional burden of navigating a world not designed for aging people with mobility challenges extends far beyond Itzhak Perlman disability's physical aspects. Perlman faces more than just normal aging challenges as he nears his 80s. His limited mobility adds another layer of complexity. I think you need to listen to sympathize more with these less fortunate people. The emotional weight of aging with a disability. Simple pleasures like staying at a hotel, eating at a restaurant, or using a bathroom without help become frustrating experiences for Perlman. "When I go on tour, I find the hotel situation quite horrible. I can count on the fingers of one hand the hotels I've visited that are truly available," he reveals. And the ADA sometimes is just used as a cover by architects who don't understand what accessibility means. Small inconveniences pile up unexpectedly. Perlman points out the irony of rooms labeled as accessible. "I've been in so-called accessible rooms where they have a bench in the shower for you to sit on, but the faucet is on the opposite wall. Who thought of that?" He also finds issue with luxury features that create barriers. In the fancy hotels, they have the beds very high and the toilets very low. Between the high bed and the low toilet, forget about it. It's like climbing Mount Everest just to go to sleep. These obstacles have changed his routine. Right now, every time I get to a hotel, I always have somebody call up the hotel and send me photographs of the room, especially the bathroom, he explains. This constant need to plan has taken away his freedom to be spontaneous, a burden that becomes harder with age. Perlman's travel experiences reveal the deepest emotional impact. Taking the scooter onto planes is the most horrible experience, he states plainly. Many people don't understand that. I would say 90% of the time I have problems. The subtle discrimination he faces causes more concern. I used to go to the airport in a wheelchair. Right now, I'm on a scooter because I don't walk quite as I used to, Perlman explains. But people still look at you sitting in a chair, and for some reason, they stop talking to you and instead they talk to the person with you. For example, at the airport, the person behind the counter would ask, "Where is he going?" It's always the case. A particularly upsetting event happened at Toronto Airport. Despite pre-registering for assistance, a staff member abandoned Perlman and said, "Well, it's not my problem that you chose to carry an extra bag. And besides, I'm not your assistant. You're not paying me or anything." Perlman has always supported the idea that accessibility means more than just following rules. It's about dignity. People think it means, can you get into a building? You should be able to get into a building with dignity along with everybody else, he emphasizes. There should be an alternate way, but not back where the garbage is, through the kitchen and so forth. Yes, it is the constant reminder that society treats disability as an afterthought that weighs heavily on Perlman. It's these little things that give you the feeling that people don't care about what makes our lives easier. Have you ever wondered if society understands the challenges that people with disabilities face in their daily lives? Itzhak Perlman's experiences will make you think about what we can do to improve inclusion for everyone. What do you think about this? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.